Hi, I'm Eduardo Pira Jr. You can call me Ed. Today we're going to solve problems, top algebra problems. That when you solve these problems, you can also solve a lot of problems on algebra. So let's start. So there are five common problems in algebra. So they are the number problems, measurement problems, the theory, mixture problems, and lastly the point problems. So for this first part, we're going to focus on the number problems. So there are five problems that is common, and when you understand how to solve this problem, most probably you can solve a lot of algebra number problems. Okay, let's start. So the first problem, so find the three consecutive integers whose sum is 87. Now take note, in algebra, one sentence or one statement can actually be transformed into an equation, a mathematical expression. Okay? So here we can see find three consecutive integers. So we can probably assign it with our arbitrary variables. We have x, y, and z. So they are consecutive. So it can be 1, 2, 3. And then whose sum is 87. So you have x plus y plus z is equal to 87. Now, there is no way we can solve each of the variables because we have only one equation. Okay, so in algebra, we need the number of equations should be equal to the number of variables. Okay, so then you will understand that we need to work out on the left side of the equation. Okay, so first let's make xyz single variable expressed in single variable. So we know that this is consecutive, the integers are consecutive. We can express x as x plus y can be expressed as x plus 1 because they're just consecutive, and then z as x plus 2, which is equal to 87. Okay, and then you can see that our equation follows this rule. Okay, the number of equations total is equal to the number of variables, so we can just simply add all the x. So you have 3x plus 3 is equal to 87. Then you transpose 3 to the other side, so we have 3x is equal to 87 minus 3, which is equal to 84. And then so you have divided both sides by 3, then you have x is equal to 28. Now the problem is looking for all the values of the integers x, y, z. So they're very simple. We know that they are consecutive, so therefore y is just simply 28 plus 1, so 29, and then z is equal to 30. Okay, that's it. So another way to solve this is actually dividing 87. It's an improper way or informal way of solving, is that you divide 87 with 3. So this is 3 times 8, 8 divided by 3 is 2. Then so you have 6, and then you have 27. Take note, this is 27 divided by 3 is 29. Now we know that it means that there are 29 plus 29 plus 29 plus, then you have 87. So we all know that if you minus 1 here and then we add 1 here, then these three values are consecutive. So that's why, so we have 29 minus 1 is 28, then you have 30. Okay, so the second problem is there is a number such that 3 times the number minus 6 is equal to 45. Find the number. So a number, as I said earlier, one sentence can be expressed in mathematics to one equation. If there are two sentences, probably most of the time there are two equations. Okay, so the number of sentences most of the time is equal to the number of equations. So in this case, we only have one sentence, except in the second sentence, it's just a statement asking for asking for a certain value. So a number, there is a number, so we can just say x as the arbitrary variable, whatever the number it is, just x, such that 3 times the number, so here's just write 3 times the number minus 6 is equal to 45. So the equal sign is often expressed in is equal, sometimes is without equal, sometimes they emit this one, okay, but it is sometimes they emit this, but still the same. Minus 6 is 45. So but sometimes most of the students are they don't look at the sentence properly, so they might think like this. They might write into this equation, which is not correct. Okay, so with this, it's very easy to solve. You have 3x is equal to 45 plus 6, which is 51. Then divided by both sides by 3, then you have x is equal to 17. Okay, so the important thing here is how to convert an equation or a sentence, this sentence, into equivalent mathematical expression. Now to the third problem is almost similar to the second one. This one is we have two equations. Okay, two equations because there are two sentences, and the third one is just simply asking for the variable or what is asked. So the first sentence, so the sum of two numbers is 41, so we can express x and y as the two numbers. Okay, you can also use a and b, okay, but most of the time mathematicians prefer using x and y because it's very easy to write, or it's very fast to write x and y. And also sometimes a can be confused with the number 9. Sometimes people write this way, or maybe it can be q. So yeah, x and y are often used. So the first sentence is the sum of the two numbers is 41. So you see, there's no equal. It's not stated here that equal is equal to 41, but is 41. Okay, so sometimes is an indicator of the equality sign. Okay, and then sometimes it's not only sum, it can be product, it can be quotient, it can be difference. Okay, so you just simply change the operation here. So, and then this is the first equation. Because we have two variables, so we need two equations. So the larger number is the larger number, so we assume y is the larger number, is 1 less than, okay, 1 less than twice the smaller number. So we assume x is the smaller number. Okay, so that's it. So we have the second equation, and we have the rule that the number of equations should be equal to the number of variables. Okay, so that we can find the value of your x and y. So then very simple, you can there are many ways to solve for the variables x and y. You can either use your calculator, or you can use many other ways, no? But this one is very simple. You can either use a direct solution, like you just subtract the two equations. We can get x by subtracting the first one to the second one, because y minus y is 0. So we have x plus y minus y is equal to 41 minus 2x minus 1. The good thing with this process is that it is how you call this is very direct, so we can cancel y. So if you notice, we only remain with variable x. So you transpose negative 2x to the other side, so we have x plus 2x becomes 3x is equal to 41 minus 1 is sorry, we made a mistake because it should be negative 1 minus 1, so this should be plus. Okay, 41 plus 1 is 42. Okay, so be careful with this. Most of the time this is a difficulty, or we need to check again our equation. Okay, so you divide both sides by 3, and then you can find x as 42 divided by 3 is 14. So x, the smaller number, is 14. And then since we're looking for the two numbers, you can either use equation 1 or equation 2. So to solve for y, we can use equation 2, which is y is directly equating y with x, function of x. So you have 2 times 14 minus 1. So this is the x, and then so therefore, so you have 2 times 14, which is 28 minus 1 is 27. Okay, another way of solving the values here is to substitute the y of equation 2 to the equation 1. So you have x plus 2x minus 1 is equal to 41. Then you can find x, which is this is alternative solution. So we have x plus s, so we have 3x minus 1. So minus 1 transposed to the other one, to the other side, giving us 41 plus 1 or 42, and then we have derived the same x is equal to 14. And then the same method, we can use x plus y. So we already have x, so we can use 14 plus y. We can use the first equation to 41. So you have y is equal to 41 minus 14, which is equal to 27. So you notice they have the same answer with the previous solution. Okay, so this is an alternative solution. So so this is the beauty of algebra. So it depends on your the more you solve problems, the more comfortable you are in solving algebra. And then the most important thing is you feel confident, and then if you have many ways to solve a problem, you can also verify if your answer is correct. So if we have 14 here and then 14 on the other side, then we can have a how you call this, a more confident answer. And let's proceed to the number 4. Okay, 25-meter long wire is to be divided into 2 parts. Now, by the way, before we proceed, problem number 3, the problem 2 and number 3 has 1 and 2 equations respectively, but it can be a sentence or a problem. A problem can go up to 3 equations, or even 4, or even 5, depending on the but most of the time, if you are in a school, so most of the problem can go up to 3 equations or 4 equations, and then by that in that way you can use calculator if you are in a time constraint. Okay, so the number 4, 25-meter long wire is to be divided into 2 parts. So the good thing with algebra also is that you can you need to draw. To draw is so in order to have an abstract idea. This is to give us a way of focusing on the problem. 25-meter wires to be divided into 2 parts. So you just put an arbitrary division between the long wire, no? So this is 25 meters. 25 meters. So just to remind you that this is 25 meters. And such that the longer part is 1 more than twice the shorter part, no? So the length is 25, and then actually we can assign x and y on the other side. Okay, so x the length of the shorter one, then y is the longer part of the wire. Okay, if you notice, there's the question is what are the lengths of the wire. Okay, so because it is divided, so the length, the question is asking for the length of x and the length of y. Okay, so if you can recall problem number 2 and 3, so one sentence is equivalent to one equation, but there's also a clue that sometimes within one sentence there can be two equations. For example, this problem. Okay, so if you notice, 25-meter long wire is to be divided into two parts. So it only means that x plus y should be equal to 25. So this is already one equation. Okay, and then continue to the equation, to the sentence, such that the longer part, okay, such that the longer part, we assume y is 1 more than, so plus 1, twice the shorter part, okay. So what are the lengths of the wire? Okay, very simple. The same, the number of equations. So we have equation 1 and then we have the equation 2. Okay, so therefore you just substitute. So we have x plus 2x plus 1. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm substituting y to this equation. Okay, so to make it formal, what I can do is substitute y, equation 2 to equation 1. Okay, so we have this x plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 25. So then you have 2x plus x, which is 3x, then 1 can be transposed to the other side, is equal to 25 plus 1 becomes negative 1. So 25 minus 1 is 24. So therefore I have x is equal to, if I divide both sides by 3, then I have x is equal to 8. Okay, then to get y, simply go back to either equation 1 or equation 2. I prepare using equation 2, then equation 2, I have y is equal to 2x plus 1. So we know 2x is 8 plus 1. So you have 8 plus 8, 16 plus 1 is equal to 17. Okay. Another way of solving this problem, number problem, is you can, instead of using x and y, two variables, you can actually use a single variable called x, or x, and this value x ranges from 0 to 25. Okay, then the other one obviously is, should be 25 minus x, because x is a long, it's a length. Okay, and we assume x is the larger part of the division of the 25 meter long wire. So therefore it's stated such that the longer part is 1 more than twice the shorter part. So 25 minus x is the shorter part. Okay, so then just work out the equation, and then you will get x is equal to 17, which is the same as the y of the original one. And then also 25 minus x, then to get the smaller part, so we have 25 minus x, so 25 minus 17 is equal to 8, okay, which is the same as the x and the others. Okay, so don't be confused with the x and just these are arbitrary variables. It depends on how you use it. Okay, now let's go to the last number problem for algebra. So this one is most of the algebra problems is not actually that difficult. Now what makes it difficult is the, how you call this, the way they um, uh, the, the how it was stated in a problem, no? For example, in this case, find the two numbers. We have x and y again. If the excess of one over the other is 5 and the sum is 11. So this is so you see, it's a bit confusing, okay? But if you look at the phrases, we stop here, find the two numbers, so we are looking for x and y, okay? And then if the excess of one over the other is 5, so we stop there. So the excess of one over the other, so we assume x is greater than y. So the excess is the difference, no? Another way of word difference, and is 5, and the sum is 11. Okay, so very simple. We have two equations, two unknowns, two unknown variables. Okay, so then you can solve. You can use the subtraction or addition. We can solve for x by adding the two equations, so that negative y plus y becomes 0. So you have 2x is equal to 5 plus 11 is 16. So we have x is equal to 8. Okay, and then the other value y, you can use the first equation. X minus y equals 5. So substituting x as 8 minus y as 5, and then now you can transpose 8 to the other side, so it becomes negative 8. Then multiply both sides by negative 1 to make the y positive, so therefore y is equal to 5 minus 8, so it becomes negative 3, so it becomes positive 3 by multiplying the negative 1. Okay, so so these are the top algebra problems. So just take note first, going back to the problems. So the first problem is actually when you have a order, no? So the first one is about order. So there are algebra number problems that focus on the order. Okay, order of the integers. Okay, sometimes the most difficult algebra is when you have different series order. Second one is how we convert a sentence into an equation, mathematical expression. Then we also have the second one is the third one is when you have multiple equations in a single problem, how to solve this. And there are many ways, there can be alternative, there are many ways to solve algebra problems. And then the fourth one is, it's good to have a drawing to guide, as a guide. Okay, then there's also two ways on how to solve. Either you use two variables or a single variable. And then lastly, don't forget the proper the use of the keywords of the sentence, no? The keywords of the sentence, just like the is. Sometimes keywords are difficult, and that makes the equation or the problem difficult. Okay, sometimes there are some terms that we don't understand, and that makes us say that the problem is difficult. So the next part of this problem is the measurement problem. Okay, so there are top 5 most common measurement problems.